Hey everybody, welcome back to the Corpse Box Gaming channel. We're going to continue with episode 2 of our Valheim playthrough with no maps, no portals, hardcore mode. I have the wrong character pulled up here for this. Here we are, this is Corpse Box. He's got the old one-eye hairstyle and the long beard. We're going to put him in the proper world. And away we go. When we left off, we had just finished creating a bed and a campfire, and now I'm going to attempt to get some fine wood so that I can make a chair and a table to rest with before darkness falls. Eat what meager little food I have here. I want to come over and sit down beside the fire and get my rested buff, because the rested buff is the most important part of this game, in my opinion. If you don't have your rested buff, do not go out adventuring. I wouldn't recommend working around your shop without your rested buff. You never know what can happen. Rested buff is affected by several things. The earliest things we can do right now is we can build. Let me go into the workbench here. We can build a few things. Sorry, they're not built there. They are built with the hammer. So we can build a bed, a torch. There's not a lot we can build comfort-wise, so we're going to attempt to go out and find some fine wood. Now you may be saying to yourself, but you can't you can't cut down trees with fine wood. Well, I'm not going to cut the trees down. I'm going to knock them down with other trees. It can be a long, tedious process. So after I get started with it, I will probably fast forward. Get out of here, buddy. Alright, so you see that little bit of damage we did there? It takes a long time. As you can see, we're kind of helping pump up some of our other skills like jumping and running. Whoops, that didn't hit it. You got to make sure that it's angled the correct direction and that nothing is in the way, which you can see I'm running into other stuff now. So we'll just clear these bits out of the way. You've got to make sure that you don't run yourself over. Oops, I don't want to do too much damage to that log. Okay, I'm going to kind of fulcrum it around there, and hopefully now we will just hit the birch tree and get some pine wood. It's getting dark on us. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fast forward through this process. So you Okay, and we're back. As you can see, we've got 12 fine wood now. That's not enough to build a chair and a table, I don't think. But it should help us get a better rested buff. We're going to build the chair. And hey, look at that. We can actually build the table as well. So we'll put a table out here. I'm not worried about how my house looks right now. But as you can see, our comfort level has went up to 7. So after we sleep, our rested buff should be longer than 10 minutes. Or 8 minutes, or whatever the default is. I can't really remember. Sleeping through the long night. Look at that. We got 14 minutes of a rested buff on night 1. So here we are at the beginning of day 2. I think our next order of business is to see if we can find some flint in this area and maybe make a spear. Looking for a stream or a creek or anything like that. I always like to start off with a spear because it's a pretty powerful early game weapon that, as long as you can find the flint, it's easy to make. You can throw it at the deer and begin deer hunting before you get a bow. Say I've used this seed before, but I don't really recall if there's any water nearby here. I feel like there should be. There's some more mushrooms. One thing that I like to do, I haven't made a hoe yet. I was going to show you a little trick about making it easier to find mushrooms again. I don't want to stray too far from the start point. A lot of fog's coming in. It's going to make it harder for me to navigate. So much harder to navigate. I know I heard one of those little dudes. There he is. Alright. I know that I'm running a lot and using up my endurance, my stamina, but this is a fairly safe area. Okay, so now we're back to the sacrificial stones. Alright, well, if we're going to go out in search of flint, I'm going to make it easier to navigate back here. Of course, I have it repair things, so I need 2 stones so that I can make a hoe. Is there any stone lying around? There's one, and there's another one. So now I'm going to create another important early game tool, the hoe. And there it is. Go ahead and knock down some weeds and stuff around this just to make it a little more presentable, even though I don't really care what it looks like. but now it's a little easier to see. So I am going to start making a path. I feel like there may be some water down over in this little valley here. So I can't really remember. If you're using your hoe, either if you're leveling ground or making a path, you can, if you're wanting to go up or down elevation, you can just hit your shift button and click out ahead, and it tends to make a better slope. Down over the hill we go. And like I say, with using no map, it is ultra important, especially early on, to use the path. And what I was going to tell you earlier, when you find mushrooms like this, I always like to clear them out with the hoe so that you can find them again easier. I usually do it with the leveling ground rather than pathing, but I don't think it makes much of a difference. And here's some more mushrooms right beside our path. Snag those. Now you can see we want to go back to our base. It's very easy to follow this back up. And here we are. Another thing that you can do is if you run into a place where it's a little difficult to discern where your path is, you can throw down a workbench and find a level spot to put it, like right there. Go into your build menu and take one of these little fence things and just kind of stick it there, and then at a distance you'll say, oh, okay, I see, I need to go this way. So back to work. Back to work. And I'm going to speed this up until something important happens. Well, you can see that I just broke my hoe, so I'm going to have to build a quick repair station. If you don't know, you can change the snap points on your build pieces by hitting Q. See how I can rotate all around the piece? Makes it a little easier. Quick repair station. Knock everything down. Pick up all the pieces. And continue on. And here we've finally found a stream. And look, I'm going to get my axe out just in case I get attacked by NEX. Here's some flint. Now we can start upgrading things. There we go. So now got some necktails. Come on, buddy. Come on. Look at that. You're so easy. So easy. So now let's just gather. Another thing that this game does is it penalizes you for getting wet. So that's why I'm jumping in and out of the over top of the water rather than in and out. Because when you're wet, you don't heal as fast, and you don't regain stamina as fast. Grab some of these stone too, just in case I need them. We can start cooking some meat. This has been a decent little sojourn for this episode. Let's see how much flint we can get. Looks like my strawberries are starting to run out, so I'll eat some more. There's another neck. And I missed the power attack. Plenty of flint here. This water's not deep enough to get me wet to get the penalty. Little swampy type area, it looks like. I love the fact that there's lots of flint here. And now you can see I have the wet penalty. I'm not terribly concerned with it right now. I don't think we're going to be in too much danger here. Which point do we have? We've got 20. We're in a good spot for that. Okay, I've lost my rested buff. I should start heading back, but there's lots of flint here. Get as much as I can on this trip. So 26 and 30. Let's see if we can get. See if we can get 3 more. Give us an even stack. Yep. And then just 1 more. Ah, what the heck? We'll get 3 more because they're right there. Okay, we'll start heading back to camp. So just follow the stream back to where our path was. Our path was on this bank. Wonder why I didn't pick up those necktails. Oh well. So here's our path. And we will head back. I'll grab all the mushrooms that I skipped while I was fast forwarding making this path. I started to go that direction and I thought I could hear necks over this way, so I went that way and turned out there was water there. That's what we wanted. But yeah, if you're going to play with no maps, it is very important to use landmarks and create paths. once you find the coastline, it gets a little easier. Typically, I try to make a path that goes all the way to a coastline, and then I really don't worry about paths as much, because if I get lost, I can just find my way to a coastline and follow that around to that path. Sometimes that can take a long time, but it often creates fun adventures along the way. So I'll fast forward through this part until we get back to camp. Alright, here we are back at camp. Let's see what new items we can make. We can make a flint axe. That's fantastic. We will need to kill a boar, I believe, to get leather scraps before we can build the spear. So for now, I'm going to build a couple cooking stations here and cook up these necktails that we have. And I think we'll end the episode here. And next time we'll go out in search of boars and find those leather scraps. So until then, adios.